take your tire off. Obviously, once you got your tire off, this is what you'll see. This is for a 2004 Nissan Sentra SER Spec V. This is what you should see. They're dirty. These pads are actually only about 6 months old. They got plenty of life supposedly left on them, but they're dusting and squeaking like crazy. So the manufacturer actually sent me, they're giving me a full refund on these, so I'm changing them again. So these are all the tools you're going to need to do this job. It's very simple, not a big deal. As soon as you got the tires off, these are the only tools you need. You don't even need this hook if you don't want to, but just to make life a little easier, I grabbed it. So let's get this focused real quick. Pull these little clips out. Anybody could do this. This is hard to do one-handed. Pull the clips out, 1 and 2. These little pins. Okay, now those are out. Save them. You'll need these. Your pads will not come with these, most likely. So now, what you got to do? Push this little spring here, this little clip. Push that down to relieve tension off of this pin. Once you push this down, pull this pin out. It should slide right out. So I'm going to put the camera down real quick and do that. It might be easier to do the top first. So push down the clip. You see it moving? That'll relieve tension off of this pin and pull the pin out. Okay, so I got my pin pulled out. Real simple. You just need 2 hands. One hand to push this down while the other one's pulling the pin. Now this clip will fall right out. And now you just do the same thing with this one. This little pin here. Just simply slide it out. There's no tension on it anymore. It'll come right out. Take the pin out, put it aside. Just like that, your pads should be loose. Now, obviously mine are going to be tight because the pistons are sticking out a little bit. If you're changing these when you really needed to change pads, yours will be even tighter most likely, or the piston will be extended more. So these are pretty simple. I got the cap off of my brakes there. So the cap is off. So these, you should be able to squeeze them by hand. You might need 2 hands. You should be able to squeeze that piston. I'm going to pull this pad out just a little bit so I can have a little more leverage on it. I'm going to put one hand here and another here and try my best to see if I can hand squeeze those pistons open. Okay, I was able to squeeze the pistons open by hand just by squeezing both hands up against the pad, squeezing it closed, and it compressed the 2 pistons one by one. So now these will slide right out. That's how easy it is to change these pads on the Brembo caliper. Very easy. It's actually easier to do it on the Brembos than it is the stock, not the stock, but your typical, I believe it's a 2-piston caliper that other Sentras come with. Very simple. So now that I got this all opened up, I'm actually going to take the opportunity to clean up this caliper a little bit, since those other pads were so dusty, it completely destroyed this caliper. So I'm going to clean it up as best I can. It's not going to be perfect, but I'll clean it up. So that's how easy it is to take these off, and the assembly is just as easy. Just make sure you lube things. I'll actually get to that here in a second. Alright, that's a little bit better. So now take some grease, hopefully it came with your new pads, and apply a little bit of grease on the metal side of your pad here, just a little bit along this metal. You don't need a lot, just a hair. If you want, you can put a little more grease here on these places here, these little platforms where the pads are going to slide. You can put a little there also, just without getting on your rotor. Put a little grease in there, and then slide in your pads. Alright, so I got some grease ready to go. Just slide in the pads. They will drop right in. If you opened up your pistons enough, they'll drop right in place. So now take your pins, and if you can, try to get your pins, you know, as clean as you can. What I did was ended up using a little wire brush to clean up the pins. I also used it just a little bit here on the caliper, just a little, because it had some brake dust caked on. So take your pin and slide it through the hole here, just like that. Now it's in. So now you want to twist the pin so that you expose that hole right there on the side there, just like that. Take your little pins, just place them right in that hole. I would do the bottom first, just like this. So now once you've installed the pin in place, you got this little clip inside the hole. That's done. Now you take your metal bracket. Now this is symmetrical, doesn't matter which way you put it on, doesn't matter. Slide the bottom one in place, just like that. There you go. This one's ready. So now what you want to do is press this down. Press it down all the way up against the pad so that you have enough room to install the next pin right in that hole there. I don't know if you can see. Right there. So press this down with one hand as you're sliding the pin right here in this hole all the way across. So I'm going to do that now. Now that the pin's all the way through, throw in your clip. And you are just about done. Now what I would do is just throw a little bit of grease where the pad's going to slide a little bit, just a little grease here, 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 and here, just a little bit. And now you're done. Put the cap back on your brake fluid reservoir and you are done. Good to go. Very easy. It's one of those things anybody can do, and you can do it in probably about literally 10 minutes. It does not take long to do this.